All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Let's Talk Real Life with Miss Nada Manning. I'm your co-host, Coach Vernon Garrison, and boy, do we have a hot series going on for you guys. Look for us to be talking about the subject, living the single life. I believe I got the title right, but Miss Nada is going to correct me if I didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind you and thank you for listening to Awesome Radio 107.5 WECU and also 1570 AM. And we're on the platforms. Dude, we're on GPAT 23, Facebook, and YouTube. And we're on Awesome Radio, Facebook, and YouTube. So, hey, thank you for joining us. Shoot us a question, like, share, and subscribe. This is going to rattle some cages. The subjects that we're talking about when it comes to living single and in a society where marriage is sometimes less and less favorable. But obviously, the best thing to do, I think married people still live longer than people that are not married. But, anyways, I'm not going to start the show. She is, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Nada Manning.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Hello, hello, hello. I'm awfully glad to be here to continue this series on living single. There's so many various subtopics that can fall under that. Coach just mentioned that he think that married people live longer than single people. I wonder why that is. Why is it? And I'm sure you're not the only one that feel that way. Married people live longer than single people. Huh. I never looked at it that way, but why do you think why do you feel that way, Coach?
Well, I think,
Without the statistics. We
huh?
talking without statistics.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like I say, one, it could be a possible fact. Two, I think that once you become one together, there's two lives that are inseparable, and they share the energy, they share their spirit, and they can be abominable together as we age. And as we age, I think that might be the key. The way you finish the race is probably possibly more important than how you start the race. You start the race, you possibly young, if you're young when you do that, and there's a lot of work that's into a marriage, raising a family if you raise one. But then as time moves on, as we age, you have a partner. You have someone to live for. You have someone to stay for. You have grandkids to stay for if you do, if you're blessed. And so the purpose in your life, to me, I think this could make the difference coming across the finish line between somebody. And I'm not saying single people don't have a purpose. It's probably they live it a different way sometimes. But that's one. But then the other two, they possibly, if they are madly in love, well, if you've seen two elder people that are still sweethearts to each other, man, that's a beautiful sight. Because every moment, that's my woman right there. I love her, and they still cherish each other. And love is such a powerful emotion. And love is, to me, likened unto godliness. So, likened unto godliness, and so they might edge out living over single people.
Okay. And you're right in your reasoning for making that statement. But I'd like to, I don't know if I want to say caveat or anyway, I just want to add to what you were saying with being single. I can, now that you've said it, I can kind of see in different ways why. and I don't think you mentioned it, why singles don't live as long. Single people have more to do. Single people have to carry the weight of two, even if they don't have children. They have to take on the responsibilities of two people. They have to make all the decisions. They have to take the bitter with the sweet. They have to deal with other individuals in their life, whether it's in their circle or outside of their circle. They have to face adversity on their own. So it's a lot of stress, I believe, in being single in that sense. So yeah, I can see why one would say that the singles don't live as long because they are under so much stress of living life without any help. And that in itself can weigh a person down. That's not even including the life stuff like deaths, illnesses, health issues they have to face alone. Almost everything that a single person does, they have to do on their own. So yeah, I can see in that sense why married people will live longer if they are still together. Now, on the flip side of that, a married person, once they are married, they're used to each other, and for whatever reason, they're not together anymore. Then the burden becomes on that one person to do that and the other person to do theirs. So then it becomes a singlehood in a sense of, especially if they're used to doing, and I know some older people that have lost their loved one and they just in a loss with having to do things because their partner did it all, meaning the wife is left and the husband is gone. So it becomes very stressful for them as once they were married. They're used to the married life. They're used to only doing certain things, and the husband took care of the other things. And now all of a sudden, the survivor, have to be faced with doing everything. Sometimes that survivor get help, and sometimes they don't. Just like single people. Sometimes single people get help. Single is single, whether you are married, divorced, widowed, whatever the case may be. Single is single. And I'm thinking on a bigger circle of those that was once married and are now widowed or widowers. It's the same thing with a man. If he's used to his wife doing all the dishes and cleaning the house, now he got to do it. Maybe his children will help and maybe they won't. But he's faced with that responsibility. He's in a single position. So I think it's twofold to that comment that you made, and I think it's a very good observation in that who lives the longest and how they live the longest.
Well, let me say this. Go ahead.
I don't think it's a win-win. I don't know of anyone where the couple, both of them passed at the same time. It happens maybe 6 months later or something like that, but at some period, one of them are left alone without that other. And I have heard that survivor doesn't live very long because they're not used to being without their partner. So they pass away many times from grief, love sick, if you want to call it that, because they're missing their spouse. And so it's very stressful. So if you want to look at the whole picture, life is tough.
Well, let me go ahead and give you the trophy.
Huh?
I said, let me go ahead and give you the trophy. Both of us were on it, but you were really on it because here's what Bogle has to say. Married men often live longer than single men due to combination of healthier lifestyles, better emotional and financial support, accountability for medical care. Spouses often encourage better eating habits, reduce risky behaviors, to provide social interaction that lowers stress, and the advantages known as the marriage advantage. So, and it goes on to expound on all of that. So there we go. Different just keeping the, I guess, single men engage in more risque activity, that's a couple of notches right there. If the wife keeps that man, in check throughout his life.
Yeah. Um, life is overall, I said that a few minutes ago. Life in itself is tough.
Yeah.
Um, no one said it would be easy. However, it can be much easier when there are two as opposed to one, when the two are working together, whether they are married or a boyfriend, girlfriend, um, whatever relationship there is, whatever, however way it's working out. Um, when two are working together, it's a whole lot better because one mind can't think of everything. Two minds work much, much better than one.
Yeah.
Eh,
Proven.
eh, Yeah. So that emotional, mental stress is enough to knock a person loose.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, good points. Good
Hmm.
points. Good, good, good.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Go.
Okay. So last week, well, in the other show, if you can find the other show, we were talking about situationships.
Part two.
And, okay, yeah, part two, if you find it. And so situationships we described as a casual but serious relationship um, to one or both parties. And sometimes the conflict comes when it's more serious to one than the other, because one is thinking it's casual hookups, um, hookup, whatever they call them nowadays, hookups, side pieces, uh, and not even necessarily side pieces, just could be two single people just having relations sort of as if they're married, but you're not wanting to call it marriage, you're not wanting to call it
A
a
relationship.
committed relationship.
Right.
So that is something that we chatted about. I still say, I'm not laughing at people who have gotten into a situationship, because part of those situationships started when you crossed the line in a legitimate friendship and someone was either trying to make up a lack in their primary relationship or trying to live out the opposite of their trauma, so nobody trusted that, nobody trusts them, or they don't trust women, so they just try to have casual relationships and very shallow relationships and wound up trying to cherry pick things that they want from the woman. And and that can happen, especially if you, like myself, you might have sort of a fear of attachment. I mean, I know that's a clinical word too, so I don't use it lightly, but you know, your fear because of traumatic experiences is just involuntary that you think, oh my God, this person is going to have to be under my care emotionally, mentally, and physically. And oh wow, am I ready for this? And then there's some other dark thoughts that could come back, PTSD, as some people might call it. So, anyways, that situationship, I think the one part we didn't talk about in regards to that is you got to check to see if you are better friends, where you follow the rules of engagement of friendship, because there are a lot of kings and queens out there that if you put them in a think tank or a discovery group, uh, and give a group of any kind, and give them an assignment, they'll create a whole new universe. So I cannot say, like that old cliche is stereotype, a black man and a black woman can't be friends. I would never say that. I think that they don't want to remain friends. They might try to be more because they're attracted to gold and silver, kings and queens. I mean, you see a awesome person across the table from you, someone that is living part of a lifestyle that you like, and you see gifts and talents written all over that person. Something that your husband ain't even doing, or something that your husband didn't do before you got divorced. You see a lot of, treasure in somebody else. I'm not going to tell you not to associate that person just because you're opposite sex. And I'm not going to say, yeah, you keep just messing around, y'all going to be in a situationship and not being serious and half and half. But that's the other part that I think you have to fight, guys, ones who've been through the situationship and you're still in there. If you can salvage it, if every time you see each other, you're going to jump in the bed, or every time you see each other, you're going to ignore the rest of the room, the rest of the office. That's your work wife, that's your work husband. And somehow you manage to zone in on that person and other people notice it. And so, yeah, you're in a situationship. You're in an emotional relationship. And you can't follow all the rules. You can't have a baby with that person. You don't want to, or you're scared, or you don't want to commit. You don't want to put a ring on a finger. You don't want to do any of those things. You don't want her calling you after you leave work because you associate with other people, or you don't want him coming around because your dad don't like him. And so you're just trying to keep a shallow kind of thing going, and you're afraid to face the commitment issue over your family. So that's what I have to say right there, Miss Nate. I didn't want to do a monologue, but what say you about some of those things? I'm sorry.
Well, that sounds kind of confusing the way you were describing it, and the work wife and the okay.
Yeah, all non-committed relationships. Your work wife is somebody that you can spend more time with than anybody else.
Yeah.
But you're
And
not married to them. You
right,
ain't married to them. It ain't necessarily that you got to be married at the house either. But that's what
right.
most people pick on work wise. It's like you're already married at home, but now you're married at work. But you can still be married at work and not be married.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But I guess the I guess one can say the hiccup in what you were saying is
Yeah.
you have this work person, might be your work husband at work, or the work wife, and you were saying that they have this attraction to each other,
Yeah.
where they're around one another every day, but you said, but they don't want to be reached after work. They don't want to be called. They don't want to be texted. They don't want no interaction outside of work. But and that's workable. But what if it goes beyond that? What if they're so attracted to one another that not contacting after work hours is not going to work? That right there is a situation.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
and it makes it very difficult if one or both of them want to, especially if it's both of them, they want to be around one another outside of work, but they don't. They want to, but they try very hard not to. And it makes it more of a challenge. Why wouldn't they want to outside of work unless one of them or both of them are married? If
Well,
neither one of them are married and they are attracted to one another in the office,
yeah.
and they, why can't they hook up outside of the office, outside of the state, outside of wherever where they, you know, you know, well, truth be told, no matter how much you try to hide these days, somebody gonna see you somewhere. I don't care if you go on the railroad track. Somebody somewhere is gonna see you, and you didn't want them to see you. It happens most of the time.
Well,
And
see
now
what
that's
happened.
real life right there. It
Right.
really, really is. The more you try to hide, the more somebody is going to see you somewhere.
So here's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about necessarily the hiding part as the commitment part.
Okay.
That's that hide them not wanting to be together after work. Yeah, you were spot on with that. But I'm saying the commitment part is the part that I see you at work, and that's where I see you at.
Yeah.
And some single people like myself, I have a vast social circle I don't know. I ain't gonna say vast. It might be 7 or 8 people. Okay, but I don't carry myself as a commitment. I went to a dinner at somebody's house, like a house party. It was Christians there, and it was a breakfast thing, and I got invited over there among some friends. One of the coworkers that knew me. The first thing when I got to the door, the first thing that the guy said to me, I guess the man of the house
The
and
host,
the host, huh?
the host.
Yeah, he said to me, he says, where's your wife? Are you alone? Yeah, that's the first thing he said to me. Because most of the people in there were married, and I think he felt like, I had only met him once, and I think that the person that invited me to this group didn't tell him that I wasn't married.
Was
So
it relevant?
say
Maybe,
again.
maybe the person who invited you didn't think it was relevant.
Yeah, exactly. But he did because,
Oh,
you know, so here's what I'm saying. My point is this: if I carried a woman to everywhere with me that just for kicks and giggles and just for having fun, then everybody would think that I'm playing the field, or not everybody. Listen to me generalizing, but
some
I don't
people.
know. I don't know how to add that together because you get that anyways. Every time somebody see you with somebody, or I'm just gonna say with me, they think that that's my lover and intimate partner or partner. So you don't want to put people in that position if they don't want to be in that position, and then you don't want to put people in that position that you don't want to mislead them in that position either. So I think without thinking about somebody going with me, I the latter part of this statement is not to be confusing. I just think single first. If somebody invites me somewhere, I don't automatically think, well, who am I going to take with me? It just the thought just doesn't cross my mind. Uh, so no disrespect to anybody that I'll go out to lunch with or anything like that. So this person may just have exclusively a great time at work. Yeah. Now, I guess if you're single and you get to go over to his house to eat, I'm gonna keep it a man thing, a gender thing. Or if you guys go out every now and then to the bowling alley or to, that's why people get for trying to figure out if they see somebody together, are they actually together? That's for them nosy people who now I'm about to get in trouble now, who always assuming somebody doing something just because they see somebody else's car in the yard. That's for them. You don't always have a relationship with somebody that you're hanging out with. They just want to see that in their head. So that's what I mean by if you don't carry your work wife out. Um, if you do have a close work relationship with a lady at work, you better be bringing her husband with you out at times. You better be inviting both of them out so that you keep open communication.
Okay. Well, folks, we still into this situationship, and the next question is, can communication about your relationship or situationship kill your love? Can
Whew.
it kill your love? And I said yes. I said yes with capital letters, bold, black, capital letter. Yes. Communication about a situationship can kill your love. Why? Because communication can be the lack thereof. And if there's a lack of communication, it will kill a roach on the floor. because nobody's telling anybody that that roach is on the floor. Nobody's telling anybody that somebody is knocking at the door. Nobody's telling anybody much of anything. So you're left to think and feel what you want to feel. And I think that can kill the love. Can it kill it completely? Maybe not. But I say if blown out of proportion, it can kill your love. Mixed signals can occur. I would say this, like a kept woman, not much, not knowing much. You don't know much about what's going on. Nobody tell you nothing about nothing, but you always somewhere. Uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable at times. And then you can get vague responses or no responses at all. Man, when you don't get no response at all, now that right there is no communication. So it's killing it. It's killing whatever feelings that there was there. Uncomfortable at times. Yes. Not knowing how others truly feel can definitely destroy any potential for moving forward as a couple. If you don't communicate, how are you going to be able to figure it out? And a lot of people say, just figure it out. Well, don't you see I'm doing so and so and such and such? And how about this part right here? Don't that tell you something? That's communication, yes, but it's very vague. If you really want a person to know something, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, I think my personal opinion is to tell it and make it plain without any doubt, without any question. Make it simple where a child can understand what you're saying. Communicate. Don't use all these big words and the what ifs and why nots. Just come on out and say what it is. And if you don't say anything, it makes it that much worse. So yes, it's killing the love, whatever feelings that there was there. Indecisiveness. You can't make up your mind. 1 minute you're gonna be this way. Next minute you're gonna be that way. Then after a while, you just back off completely where there's nothing going on. What happened to the communication? One is left hanging. And one can't hang but so long, man or woman. They can only hang but so long. After a while, that rope is going to be turned loose and the hanging is over. And I don't mean hang definitely like killing themselves, but I mean just moving on, period. Because it can cause a problem. Not not knowing where you stand. And at that point, when you don't know where you stand, I say you either break off or break up, one or the other, and just forget it because its time is a wasting, the clock is ticking. And if you really want that person to know what's going on with you, you really care about them, is it going to kill the love? That's why I say yes, it will kill it. Okay. It depends on the scenario, I guess. Can it kill it completely? It depends. How long it lasts, keep going on and on and on, and no change, no nothing. It's just then it's like a dead horse. And that's my story.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Now let me say one thing because I'll get too deep in the marsh on this communication. So I'm gonna be shallow, but I'm gonna be deadly pointed at saying
Candidly honest.
candidly, honestly, I bet you, and this is a very risque, off the cuff shot.
Okay.
I bet you $1 million that I don't have. That people
well, then you can't bet it then.
No,
If you
that
don't
don't mean
have
you don't have it because I don't think I'm gonna lose. That's why I'm a bet.
Okay, go ahead.
People are over analyzing their relationships. When one thing is wrong with an engine, sometimes it make it seem like there are other problems. When now the people think I'm being, she says you're gonna be simple, coach. Let me sit up and be simple. When there ain't enough money in the house, everything is wrong. You ain't this, you ain't that. You said this. You're oversensitive about it because of one thing. You're overreacting because it's the lack of intimacy. It's the feminine time of the month. It's uh, overtime where neither one of y'all might not be getting enough sleep. So that's the part where you start diagnosing, clinically saying, well, you do this under this circumstance, you do that. And why are you always doing that? You're leading your life with emotions. You're leading your thoughts. You're leading your points that you're making. You got this adversarial thing where you're in court, and that thing can last all day long with you back and forth. Yeah, I'm smiling. Because when you come out of it, you won't know until you look back how tired you got, and then you were lethargic, and then one person didn't want to shut up, and then the other person got their win and started it back up again. I think that type of communication is a lot of times is fruitless, because then when you kiss and make up, you wonder, you're just like, man, I ain't never doing that no more. Why do we have to do that to start with? There is something sometimes hidden that the other person didn't know as to why you were feeling that way.
And why didn't the person know that? Because you
Well,
didn't
one, it
communicate.
could be legitimate reasons. They could have got rolled up at work. They could have, one of them could be cheating. And they're not then emotionally cheating and subliminally comparing the family to the Joneses. It could be any one of those root causes that's causing that person to act that way.
So
Now, so what?
So your answer to the question is
Why didn't the other person know?
no. The answer to the question is it yes or no? Can communication about a relationship kill your love?
Yeah, because you sitting there spinning the wheels, talking about something that didn't have to exist. Now you might feel like you wasted time because y'all back and forth all day. You stayed up till 3 o'clock this morning, and then you started right back up when you called the person at work. Is that effective? Absolutely not. So you're
Yes.
in a conundrum, you're in a storm, you're in that time, and that is once a week is oh, I ain't saying that's okay, but a disagreement once a week that's pretty intense. It could be an intense subject that you got to hash out
But
about your son and what college your son is going to. Okay,
it depends on how long too. If it's once a week
yeah,
and it don't last but a couple of hours and nothing else is said all week long, then that's all right.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to agree on everything. But when it's every night, all week long.
Yeah. But I'm justifying the people that have a situation here, a circumstance. Their son is going to college. They don't agree. They got to wait. That could take a series of conflict resolution meetings. Mm-hmm. If you're getting separated, that could take a series of sit down meetings if you're going to how you're going to divide everything. If you're going to divorce anyways, and you know you done tried several times, and so now you might well not even be sticky. Somebody's gonna lose, and both of y'all are losing. If you ask me, if you're losing a marriage, y'all losing equally, regardless of who gets the dog.
Well, let me say this.
Yeah.
I noticed much of your conversation over the past couple of 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
You are definitely in favor of marriage, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I'd say so.
So what's hindering a remarriage for you?
Well, it's like buying a car, or buying a house, or investing in stock, or in which one to invest in. You don't know if you're going to get returns or not. You don't know if you're going to get in there, if you're going to play a sport. You don't know if you're going to blow a tire or not. You're going to twist your ankle. You don't know where you go to another church. You don't know whether you're going to get in there and get committed and not like the pastor. Things like that are life-changing events.
Yes, but
that you have anxieties about and fear. And it's not that, and plus, if you're asking me personally, I was married to a person 30 years and with total 45 years in a relationship. a committed relationship. So um, I'm not necessarily afraid of marriage. I just feel like I did it. I feel like I don't have anything to prove. Some days I don't feel like I got enough that I can offer a relationship uh, because it's a huge responsibility to have somebody's heart beating in your hand. Doo, 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 doo. And that's a responsibility that I
So,
don't
so,
take
so,
lightly.
so you are afraid of responsibility.
No. I'm like, do I
I'm not,
have to?
I'm
Do I?
not saying you personally, but men, those men, and
Well,
you can take it personally or
yeah. I
men
can
in
say,
general.
yeah. I'm pretty leery of it because it's like you want to make $1 million a year, but do you want to go to work for Donald Trump? And he'll probably say, sure, come on. But you know that if he hires you, and I'm not talking political here, that's a man about dollars. I don't like him, but that's a man about dollars. You know, if he said, all right, yeah, give that man $1 million a year, he gonna make probably 10 million off of you a year. Okay. So your life is it's a wrap. When he call you on that phone, you gonna jump because you got to be in Egypt. You got to go over here. You got to go over there. So when I choose to get married, then it's gonna be all in. I gotta be right there with her, or she gotta be right there with me, unless I don't know. Maybe it could be a different relationship. Some people get married. Just saw a post, by the way. Some people get married and still living separately
That's not
because
uncommon.
yeah, they don't want to go through all of these other changes, and they think it's great to have personal space together, meet at certain times. They still in the courtship mode. They're keeping their families intact, the grandkids, the house, the bedrooms are staying the same. Uh, Marriage is more like a commodity now. Uh, you don't just have to accept somebody else's lifestyle just to love them. So I think that I have an anxiety of that type of commitment because I know it's a big commitment to take care of someone. Not that I can't. It's just I felt like I failed so many times. Well, I was told that I failed so many times, and then when I came up for air after marriage, I realized I didn't fail. I ain't never been to jail except to work there. And not that people that go to jail are failures. No, I never smoked consistently. I never, that was just as a kid. So I ain't done, I was measured under the wrong standards and I took it to heart. So I almost became emasculated and lost my identity. And so now, as a single person, when we get to talking about the positive things about being single, I got a lot to say because I get to meet myself and who I am, and I get to go and discover things that I'm supposed to be discovering, as a male, as a man. So being afraid of commitment and having the anxiety about it, it ain't the worst thing in the world to me. It is disheartening sometimes, but I gotta have some advice that I gotta give myself some advice. No, it's not fun being by yourself uh, without an intimate relationship, but it is fun being by myself when I'm like, I want to do this, I want to check that out, I want to do this, I want to go here.
Freedom,
That freedom, and
freedom.
then you will kind of think for a moment, I wish I had somebody with me to enjoy this. And then you're gonna think, oh, they're gonna say, I want it done this way. I want to go here at this time. I want to do this, and I want to eat this when I go. I need to go buy this so we can go. All of those alphabet that go with just inviting somebody along for the ride is sometimes ain't worth the headache. It's not.
And
I'm gonna say
and
this, and I'm gonna go back to you. I promise you. I was going to go to the beach. I think it was last year. Yeah, last year. I went and got to New Bern, and then I was like, man, I'm gonna really enjoy this trip. I was like, ain't nobody sitting over there in that seat in my car. I stopped to the grocery store and got me the biggest watermelon I could get. I was sitting there playing music and eating watermelon out of that seat. I thought it was the most interesting thing to be on the island by myself and enjoy riding and just playing the music that I wanted to play, and just kind of celebrating that I could stay at the beach as long as I want, and I ain't have nobody with no demands of anything. So it reminds me of this, ladies and gentlemen. If somebody invites you somewhere along for the ride, just take the ride. Don't add all of this stuff to it. Don't add the conditions or it's the weather. If you don't want to go, just hey, enjoy yourself. And then you're gonna try to guilt the person because they doing it their way. No, just take the ride. Unless they're gonna put you in 99-degree heat or something. So anyway, I'm gonna go back to you. I'm sorry.
Folks, I think I can talk for the next 9 minutes.
Yeah, you can.
Without having too many naysayers on what was just said by Coach.
Mhm.
He had a mouthful to say, and folks, he was speaking as a single person, and then again he was speaking again when he was married. And folks, many of you that are out there, I encourage you. I was once married myself, and I dare say that much of what Coach was saying about I don't like this and let's do this and that, all the naysayers of, making a negative out of a positive situation. I can honestly say that every person is not like that. I think it's a shortage in one's mind to think or say or feel, I put it that way, to feel that just because this happened over here, then you're going to sense that it's going to happen over there. Life is too short, folks.
There you go. I knew you was gonna say that.
Life is it's just too short. And what was yesterday is gone. You cannot bring it back. All you can do is live for today and pray for tomorrow. And tomorrow is in your hands and God's hands to make the best of it.
Yep.
And leave yesterday. We all
Man,
have stuff. We all. I've got the next 8 minutes.
gotcha. I
I'm
can't
finishing up.
stand
No, we agreed. I'm going to finish the show.
it. Okay. All right.
Now you can save your thoughts for next week because I can honestly say that it is a sad situation to have such experiences in your past, and we all have experiences. We are supposed to learn from our experiences in the sense of, okay, I don't want this to hinder me from being with someone else in my life. I don't know if that someone else is going to be 6 months now or a year from now, but that next person that I hope that the Lord bless me with, I hope that I have learned something and bring something positive to the table with this new individual. Now, I understand the freedom. I understand just going, like he said, going out on the beach and just breathing all that ocean air and, nobody to interrupt. That's good. Many times we need to be by ourselves. Yeah. Peace. Peace. That's the key word. Everybody loves to have peace. Now, no, I take that back. Not everybody, because some people live on drama. Some people thrive on having drama in their lives. And because of that drama, it makes the other individual or persons very uncomfortable. It makes people around you uncomfortable, and they don't want to live. They don't want to live in such an environment. So they distance themselves. And some of what Coach was saying, yes, you distance yourself from certain situations. If you see that repeating, that type of life repeating, then of course you should walk away. But the buck does not stop there. The buck does not stop there. You have to at some point ask the Lord to help you if you can't do it on your own. If it's too strong and too heavy and you can't do it on, and some situations are like that. It's too heavy for you. You can't do it on your own. But keep in mind that God wants all of us to live in peace. He wants us to be happy. He wants us to acknowledge him in our lives so that he can help us to choose that person. And it won't be so much drama going on. I won't say it won't be any, but it'll be some. It won't be, I don't think it would be as drastic with him in our lives as it would be with him outside of our lives. Because if two people are working together and they're caring for each other and they want to build something together, of course, no two people have the same qualities. No people have the same of anything. You know, that, okay, so she might be making more money than you, or she might have more collateral. She might have better credit. She might have whatever it is. He might do better than this. If you care enough for one another, my point is those things in a situationship can leave a situationship and develop into a relationship if the two agree to it, but it takes two. And if you're not satisfied with the individual, trust and believe someone that's been single a long time. If you're not satisfied with them, then you move on. There are a lot of other people out there. As my grandparents used to say, there's a lot of fish in the sea. Maybe you've been throwing the wrong bait. Yeah. You got the wrong bait. So you throw that, you throw whatever that fish was, whatever it was you didn't like, don't kill it, just throw it back in the water. And maybe it might be somebody else can use it. You never know. Coach is really showing out tonight. He got to do all these faces. Since he can't talk, he gonna make all kind of signs and being silly. That's what he been. But I just want to use these last 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes to say that situationships can kill one's love for one another. If one don't kill, then both will kill. But it don't take but one to kill it. So, and it's up to the other individual how much he or she cares to hold it together, to make sure that it's understood, that the love is deep. And just because we're going through this valley right now in this dark place does not mean that we cannot move forward and express and communicate that is what is wanted and what's desired so that the other person can feel better. Because you're both supposed to feel good about it. And if you're not, then yeah, it's time for one. You either break off or break up. Now, if you're breaking up, then that means you're not going to be with them anymore. Breaking off means you're just going to separate for a while and then maybe you might be able to come back together. But we can talk about that next week, breaking off and breaking up. There is a difference. And I don't want you to say nothing else. No, you agree this.
Give me 3 seconds. Give me 3.
You done took up 30 minutes of the show. It's time for me to do some talking. Can't you just hold that? Is it going to be 1 minute? Or we got about a minute left. And I want to.
I promise you.
I want to have time to say the prayer. So I'm being lenient. I'm trying to be fair. I'm giving in. So go. I know I said no more talking, but
some people don't want to subscribe to what God wants, what God sent a woman here for. If you want to be gender related here, I'm not picking on women. I'm just saying this because I'm a man. Where's the woman that said, I just want to be here and be with you the way God made me and the way God made me for? A man wants 3 things: peace, respect, 4 things. I'm sorry. Peace, respect, something to eat, and romance. That's a dude. That's it.
Where does commitment come into that?
That's what I'm talking about. He yours forever.
Oh,
Peace,
it's just
respect, commitment, and romance. Something to eat. What? That's the recipe right there.
well, folks, you heard him say that. A man saying it to the other men. They just want something to eat. Well, we all know that. Want some good food, some good eating, and respect. And what? Commitment.
Peace.
Peace. Peace, food, respect,
Something to eat and romance.
romance.
Yeah.
Oh, let's not leave the romance out.
Yeah. You got a satisfied dude. Peace, though. You can't be quiet.
And all of that is going to satisfy her.
I don't know.
That's
part of the relationship. But if you're doing this all the time, check yourself. If you're complaining all the time, check yourself. Even if it's legitimate, you just can't do it all the time.
Okay. Well, folks, you heard that. And we're going to sign off for tonight. I think that all of this is communicating. So now, until next time, I want to thank the Lord for this time. Thank you, Lord, as usual. We just give you the praise, and everything went so smoothly tonight. I don't think we had any technical issues, Lord. It's just been great. So thank you for this time as we continue to talk about real life issues and this subject of singleness. Is said in your word, and we know this, that you prefer us to be single. However, if we find that we are in a position where we just can't make it being single, then let us come together, Lord, those of us who are, if it's their desire to come together in your word, in your name, in the name of Jesus, and keeping you far in the forefront is what I'm trying to say. But bless us, Lord, as we continue to uplift your word through this show and the opportunity to serve in many other ways, because we love you and we trust you and know that it's all about you. And you want us to get together. You want us to learn to love each other, to not hate on one another, but to care about one another. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 107.5 WECU, awesome radio. This has been another wonderful broadcast with Let's Talk Real Life with Ms. Nada Manning. I'm your co-host, Coach Vernon Garrison. Look forward to seeing you next time. We love you and have a great rest of your day.
Amen. Good night.